Hey guys, it's Matt. Back to the low 50s Fahrenheit here in Pennsylvania. Oh, some of the windows open, it's freezing, but I'll take it. I can't stand July and parts of August and that sort of heat. Much rather have January or February. But, well, I didn't expect to be talking about this today. I did turn on the news, local news yesterday for the weather. Of course, it was dominated by the Trump news, and then I continue to watch some of the world news with the ghoulish figure Laura O'Donnell, whatever part of Transylvania she's from. I'm not exactly sure. 34 felony counts. I said, they come on, man. You just give it the 33 counts. Come on. And I think that when they huddled up together, they thought even we can't get away with this. If we do 33 counts, some of those conspiracy nut jerk assholes will be able to talk to some of their people about it and wake some. We'll do 34, and what they'll do is the reality will quietly drop one of the charges. It'll be like a back page story. Still 33 counts against Trump. They'll work that in somehow. That's not what I predict, but they tried. They tried to make it 33 counts, but it's 34 counts against Trump. First off, guys, I don't make many predictions, but it is playing out exactly like I said it potentially would about 8 months ago, where we joked, remember, that Trump, he could be in jail on the opening days of his presidency. He could be the Oval Office. Maybe they could create a cell like Andy Dufresne, and they could make that cell resemble the Oval Office, and he could conduct the affairs of the nation via the script reading puppet that he will be from a jail cell. So it's playing out, and I talked about there'll be some sort of constitutional crisis that they'll probably put into the storyline or the mix. So okay, it's moving along exactly as I predicted, but we'll bring back an old phrase. If you're throwing rubber duckies at the screen right now, saying, Matt, anybody could have seen this that's awake. Okay, I hear you. It ain't no grand prediction. I hear you. But let's continue with the predictions. So, okay, Matt, the Not Noak's listening for... No, it doesn't. It's got it all scripted out. It's got it all scripted out. So what may happen is, one thing would be... well, I want to talk about how they're talking about no jail time for Trump. How do you have 34 felony counts? I thought it was actually, there was certain, I don't know. I mean, I didn't take too many legal classes at Penn State, and we didn't, not too much of my high school classes dealt with this, but I thought on a felony charge, I thought there was mandatory jail time. Isn't that the point of a felony charge? So they're talking about, for this sort of offense, potentially no jail time, leaving it up to the judge. Well, the state itself should have just an absolute rock bottom jail minimum if it is classified as a felony. The judge would have no latitude in most cases. Who knows? Guys, fluid reality. Who knows if this, whatever we learned about, it just changes weekly or daily. There's no keeping up with it anymore. It's just normal in this world that 34 felony counts there might not be jail time. Okay, well that's not the world I remember. I haven't been through too many trials, but it's not the world I remember. Anyway, the point is, getting back to the predictions or what they may do with this. All right, well, there's no doubt they didn't do all this for nothing. Like in Braveheart, we didn't get all that stuff on nothing. They didn't do all this for nothing. He's going to be the president. That's been decided. And they will, what are they doing all this for if he's not going to be the president? There'll be huge infighting amongst family and friends that how could this country have elected a convicted felon? Well, nobody elected him. It was all in the cards. It was they had this storyboarded out 10, 12 years ago. Well, there'll be bickering amongst people, of course, and who knows in terms of the threat of jail time. They will keep that on the table for a long time, or I don't know. Are they supposed to sentence him? I think actually, I hear in July. So I guess that will be settled quite quickly, and it's just a. Did I hear that the sentencing would be just a week or so before the Republican National Convention? I mean, you can't make this shit up. Who could possibly, who out our window here, down the block here, and a family and friends, who could possibly believe this and buy this? It is the ultimate litmus test, whatever that is, for stupidity. The last time I did that, people trying to comment tell me to do a litmus test. Typically, here's a hint for anybody that knew. Typically, when I say whatever that is, it's I know what it is. That's just a hint. It's just I'm trying to be funny, but Matt, it doesn't work anymore. Sorry. If you're throwing rubber duckies at the screen, we need to return that old phrase. So now, what's a little bit strange is the way it would have played out if his charges would have been in a, quote, Republican state or a red state. Then it would have been a beautiful scenario, not Nelk. I think you screwed up on this one. You really did. The charges could have been in, I don't know, Texas or something, whatever would be a definitive red state. And then the judge there would have been jail time, say a year or two, but he's elected president, quote, elected, was going to go to jail right about the time he's supposed to go to the White House, and the Republican or red state governor pardons him. And then you'd have tens of thousands of people taking to the streets because the pardon would be pure cronyism and pure partisan politics, and to support your own kind, your own ilk, as that script in the false picture of the two parties is presented to the American people. So I don't know why they didn't do that. They could have. I don't understand if anybody's new. So these charges, it's not real. No, of course not. It's all. Matt, when do you think the script was planned out? I think they have this thing scripted out roughly 10 years in advance. Too many things happen in the world, or there's too many chances for some unpredictable variables where they'll storyboard out, and then the storyboard of what is going to be presented will be amended over time or adjusted a bit. So when Obama with Stanley Dunham went to live with Lolo Soetoro in Indonesia, and Obama apparently went through the Indonesian public school system, but doesn't speak a word of Indonesia, would have had all F's and wouldn't have been able to get into Punahou or Occidental, but we'll talk about that with Kurt some other time. See, with Obama, he's part of the script, but it's obviously the script has to be a variable. If something unfortunate were to happen in Indonesia, Hazar, if something unfortunate were to happen in Indonesia, then they have, in my opinion, they have 2 or 3 or 4 other candidates that they could insert to be president. If anything could happen, right? So it's not a fixed script. It's a script where they probably allow 15% wiggle room for variables. I think these entities, or whatever Biden is, whatever Trump is, whatever Melvin and Bezos are, I think they're, Tony talked to them about a different spiritual incarnation than what you and I are, but they're probably in the exact same body. Therefore, you'd think that almost, anything could happen to the body, to an old man. I'm not going to say anything further, but you would think the ability to wake up in the morning is somewhat variable. But it never seems to, that sort of thing never seems to happen. I mean, think about that. Most of anybody listening to me agrees that Not Nilk has this all planned out. Whatever's going to happen coming up, say, between Biden and Trump. But, it seems obvious that, Biden is an old man and Trump is an old man, and, anything could, quote, happen if to an older person. The video will be an issue if I say anything further, but you know what I mean. But it never seems to happen, And if it does happen, our first take will be it's scripted in some way, like a David Bowie Island type thing. Could you imagine if somebody stumbled upon this video or somebody overheard you listening to it? if it happens in that way to an old man, our first reaction, without a doubt, I think will be, that's part of the storyboard. Well, why don't we just accept that could happen because it's an old man? It's a weird reality, guys. It just doesn't. I think after we pass and after we depart, we'll just go, oh, I see what it was. Oh boy, we had no idea that's what it was. We'll see how it all fits together, and somehow it'll just all make sense. But not much more to say about that, guys. It's playing out like we talked about, and again, they didn't get all that stuff on nothing. They didn't do all this for nothing. They didn't do all this to have Trump lose the election. I can't imagine. They're gonna, if they can create a constitutional crisis, or really get people to fight with their friends and family and neighbors, they need to have Trump as a convicted felon, you would think, go into the presidency. But after that, who knows? It is. Look, I haven't thought about it. I saw 10 minutes of the news, and I just figured I'd talk about this on the fly. There's several other things I wanted to talk about, so let me organize my thoughts, and I'll be right back. There's a channel on YouTube called Nerrel, I believe. I'd never heard of the channel. It's mostly a video game channel, but this video is extremely interesting, and I'll leave a link if anybody's interested. It's talking about how the AI programs of today are remastering old movies, or say movies from the 80s and 90s, so they can be sold as 4K or eventually 8K. But he does a frame-by-frame comparison, and he's basically saying the AI is making a complete mess out of these remasterings. But it seems like it's something that would be almost perceptible to the subconscious or the unconscious, but maybe not perceptible to the conscious mind if it's not looking for it, or everything's happening so quickly. But just as a few examples, he does a lot of frame by frame. It's very interesting. Let me tell you where I'm going here before we proceed. I'm thinking, with some of these weird anomalies in the AI remasterings, maybe only the subconscious or the unconscious mind can pick these strange things up or perceive these weird things. And what's the effect of on the subconscious or unconscious, even if somebody isn't consciously aware of these problems? I mean, it's like if you watch the video, it's like this could drive somebody insane. How weird whatever the AI is doing to the remastering. And then other than that, how we think about the world versus whatever this video game channel thinks about the world. First thing I think, of course, is how is this going to potentially be used nefariously? But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So mostly in the beginning of the video uses the movie True Lies. It's a movie from the 90s. He said one of the most horrible butchering AI remasterings of all time is True Lies. And I forget the exact examples, but say, via Arnold Schwarzenegger, running around the corner, so there's motion. In one split second, it'll be blurry, as it should be via motion, but the next frame, it'll be crystal clear. And then in this frame, the eyes go in two different directions. Or in this frame, the hand just goes to a mushy blur. Like, remember how we looked at Midjourney, the AI art rendering programs like Stable Diffusion and DALL-E, how they would produce like 6 or 7 fingers or a hand that just goes to melds in like a Salvador Dali painting. So a lot of that's going on frame by frame with the AI remasterings. And he has a lot of examples. And of course, he would say, or anybody that doesn't see the world the way we do, like, oh, they're just being sloppy, or it's just a bullshit quick remastering. At first, and he makes a good point about this, it looks crystal clear. At first, you're like, well, that looks nice. But then if you really think about it, the way he presents it, it's so crystal clear, it looks now almost 2D, instead of, it takes a lot of realism away, even though it's super clear, if that makes sense. Like, one thing he said that was interesting is True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis uses a lot of practical effects, it's called, where you have a real helicopter, fly into a bridge and blow up, and you actually put dynamite on the bridge. That's a real effect that really happened. You have one chance at that scene, practical effects, versus what 95% of movies or 98% of movies do today, special effects using AI and CGI and green screen and blue screen or whatever. So he's saying that the AI via the remastering of True Lies, which used a lot of practical effects and spent a lot of money, it appears like that's all CGI now, even though at first glance it looks crystal clear, but it's not. So of course, I'll wrap this up, guys. We'll go on to other topics. But I'm watching this going, what is the effect on the subconscious or unconscious mind in terms of all the weird things going on that the conscious mind is not picking up or not aware of? So in other words, your subconscious, unconscious, it expects certain things, the world to present itself in a certain way as you walk through the park. It doesn't expect a tree to just melt down, or for example. But there's also an expectation of your mind in general, because we've all been brought up on television, and we have an expectation of what the television's version of reality is. It's blurry. It doesn't look very good. But in a way, up until recently, it is a reflection, or a somewhat accurate reflection of reality. Now you're watching a movie, and over here, this person's head just blurs for a split second. And over here, the eyes go two different directions. And I'm thinking, this could drive somebody insane. Maybe they slowly, if you watch enough, I'm getting ahead of myself, but watch enough 4K remasterings, and that people could start to slowly go insane, because the mind is expecting reality to be presented in a certain way, and it's all split-second stuff, so the conscious mind's not aware of it. The conscious mind's only going to be aware of, this looks good to me, I like this remastering, it really looks warm, and I want to cozy up to this movie, or it doesn't look right to me, it looks fake or phony or styrofoamy. That's the conscious mind's not going to do more than that. But who knows what the subconscious takes away from these remasterings, and if it this could mess with you. That's what I was thinking watching this video. And then of course, just to wrap this up, sometimes I'm saying I'm going too far, but we never go far enough. Is this a test of some kind? How will they use the AI how will the layer 4K, 8K? What kind of layering will be there in terms of how to really F up the person's subconscious or unconscious? I mean, Matt, you conspiracy people use, it's just another form of mind control. You better believe it. Of course they're going to find a way to use it when it's that many pixels. It's just another reason, like a lot of people have said on YouTube, to keep your old DVD collection. When you the new level of quality, it wears off very quickly. You don't, for the first minute or two, you're like, wow, this 4K version of Braveheart or whatever really looks great. Then it's just the movie. You don't notice that anymore, unless it's really blurry. Like in Los Angeles, we had, was it called Century Cable? I think it was called Century Communications in Los Angeles. I lived just a few blocks off Sepulveda Boulevard in East LA, and the cable was so bad, many stations had a ghost. Literally, it was the coaxial, the image quality through the coaxial, there was ghosting. This is in 1996. It just, and I got used to that. I could watch the Andy Griffith show with a slight ghost of Andy Griffith behind, but you just get used to it. It's not a big deal. So there's no reason to go to 4K or 8K. DVD is good enough. It's clear enough. And I don't, Blu-ray, I don't know. I think it seems like the old generation. I wouldn't, in terms of anything nefarious, that I don't think that would be assigned to Blu-ray. I have several Blu-rays. I'm not going to say an affirmation before I watch the Blu-ray, like subconscious, make sure you don't see anything layered in here. And I know people are throwing their rubber duckies at me, firing their rubber duckies at the screen, saying, Matt, of course they layered shit into the 4K. So what? I don't, it's minimal. It doesn't work on us. What could be, it's the 8K with that many pixels. It's that sort of thing that concerns me. And there's no reason to go to it. At some point, you'll only be able to buy a 4K or 8K television. You won't be able to buy anything else. But there will always be a way to hook the old DVD player up. Even with its, there's different ways to hook the old DVD player up. I assure you that the old Remember the old RCA jacks? We used to call them RCA jacks. The red and the white for sound, and the yellow for video. I guess actually, Matt, somebody's saying to me, Matt, the new TVs aren't going to have that hookup. You won't be able to hook that up. I agree. There won't be, unless you're really a technological expert. You won't be able to do that. But just another reason to keep the old DVD collection and watch your favorite movies there. In addition, they're all being changed. Scenes are being removed. Star Wars is being ruined on purpose. Things like that. To me, just another minute, and there's other topics. Star Wars, the first giveaway of the intentional ruination of Star Wars happened back when George Lucas controlled everything. It's not Disney trying to ruin it on purpose. It's a 30-year script, or it was intended to be ruined on purpose, maybe from the very day it was released. They do business like this. It was 1996 or 1997, the remastering, where they added in little CGI scenes. Every CGI scene, other than Cloud City and Empire Strikes Back, was horrible and took away from the movie and was ridiculous. But in Return of the Jedi, I think the number 3, the third one in the first trilogy, the song and dance scene with the CGI characters, I've talked about this before. I won't even try to mimic what it's so cringeworthy. In Jabba's palace, the song and dance scene is so bad, it's so cringeworthy. There's no possible way George Lucas or anybody would have allowed that in the movie, unless that was the beginning of the intentional takedown and ruination, that re-release with the horrible CGI added. So basically, in being very long-winded, I apologize. 1997 was, to me, the first evidence of the intentional destruction of Star Wars. Happened all the way back, and it was planned probably from the beginning. If it happened in 97, unless somebody would say, some dark figure on behalf of the Not Milk came forth from its burning throne with the Cerberus dog and said, this Star Wars thing here there's too much positivity for people, too much truth, too many good things. We need to destroy it over time, and George needs to be punished for what he put out. That's possible, but that's very rare. Usually, the Not Milk doesn't make these types of mistakes. It was a lot of things are put out, again, like what Dan said, are put out very good, because if they're not very good and clean, they can't be defiled. If they're not excellent, they can't be destroyed. There is no destruction without greatness to begin with. So that's part of it's a key element in their formula. What else? There's other things, but Matt, all you got to do is write the topics down in front of you. Yeah, I should. Because we're going to be hearing about the Stormy Daniels stuff forever, right through the election and beyond. And we've been hearing about it on and off for years, but I had no idea I had to look into it. What is being presented here? And it's just as pathetic as you and I suspected. And ChatGPT, if you can get word to the Not Milk script writer or whoever storyboards out the news for the Not Milk, just give it a brief message. Stop insulting our intelligence. I mean, Stormy Daniels. Oh, come on. Anyway, Matt, that's the porn star name. I know. Look, here's what they say happened. Donald Trump apparently had sex with this Stormy Daniels. His attorney, is it Michael Cohen? It's definitely Cohen, paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 years ago. They keep calling it in these articles hush money, to be quiet. Yeah, they're trying to insert the 13 into the... They just do business like this. Every chance they can insert their creepy gematria, it's just they do business like this. It's all somehow tied in to the story, or whatever black magic spell they're trying to present over the people that fall for it. So Stormy Daniels gets $130,000. That's an expensive whore, dude. That's an expensive prostitute. Why don't you just go to a prostitute and spend $130,000? So hush money. So his attorney, Michael Cohen, pays her the money. But it's somehow, because it's hush money, it's somehow tied into influencing the election. It's tied in some way from a legal standpoint or perspective to influencing the election, the hush money, so then it becomes a felony. So this guy, Michael Cohen, he's in jail for 3 years. So let me get this straight. The attorney had paid the money to Stormy Daniels. He's already convicted. Yet, why was there? If who instructed the attorney to make the payment? If he's already convicted, why was there even more than a 1 minute trial for Donald Trump? Wouldn't he just be immediately convicted too? The attorney's not going to pay off the Stormy Daniels hush money, the porn star, for no reason. He's acting on behalf of Donald Trump. And what happened to the attorney-client privilege? Like, all of reality is breaking down, guys, daily. What happened to the attorney-client privilege? How does the attorney go to jail for acting on behalf of who he's supposed to be a fiduciary for? Well, maybe that's why. It's just, it does nothing. Nothing in reality makes sense versus the world we knew, you would say, in the last century. So it's also about falsifying records, because in some way, these, again, hush money, falsifying records, I didn't really pay her off. One of the main lessons here, guys, is getting involved with the wrong woman can have repercussions across the board. Matt, is that the message that the Not Milk wants to get out? That's the public service announcement that should be made into television commercials. Look, Donald, you have cash lying around, right? You understand cash still exists in this world. I mean, these are the basic reasons. It's all a script. It's all played out, or all storyboarded 10 years in advance, because he's not. This is a pretty savvy businessman, we're supposed to believe, right? I'm not a savvy businessman. I've started a few businesses. They've all failed. Every little business I've started in some way has failed. Okay, so, but I would know. See, I don't live anywhere near 22 miles to Davenport, but I would know to pay Stormy cash if I was worth close to $1 billion at the time, or over $1 billion. He's got 150 to 300,000 sitting around the house in a few different safes. So if he gives her the cash, there's no record. All of it goes away. But he has his attorney from Davenport, because he's really smart, wire EFT some money so there's a record before the election. Come on. Nobody would be this stupid. I mean, nobody. Oh, he's a savvy businessman. All these different businesses at the same time, all going on at the same. And Ivanka has her jewelry business, and she manages hotels, and they're all brilliant. When all he has to, and where did the $130,000 did she? Why aren't there charges against her for some sort of blackmail or extortion? Like, I mean, she must have threatened to say something. Or Donald, I mean, you don't go. There's professionals for this, right? Remember the Heidi Fleiss case or whatever? I wasn't involved in that, or I didn't have personal experience, but I saw it on the news. Heidi Fleiss, there's professionals. Even they get exposed. There are still. It's the oldest profession in the world, they say. If you want to go wet your whistle, there's professionals, and then they stay quiet. And you don't got to pay them $130,000. Matt, how do you know? I don't know. 4 of us went to Amsterdam, and I did not partake. I wanted no part of it. One partaked in the red light district. I've told you the story before. The other 2 had girlfriends. The one was at the red light district every night. He thought it was the greatest thing since Disneyland. And they knew I was so straight-laced that these guys, were business executives that had some money. They said, whatever you want, I will pay for whatever it is. They know I wouldn't do it, so they put all their money on. They said, Matt, just whatever you want, I don't care what we'll cover it. No, not interested anyway. But there's professionals for this, and you don't got to pay. I know what this guy went red light after red light. You don't got to pay no $130,000. The very worst. For what high. I mean, Matt, you're talking about it like I've seen HBO documentaries on the Chicken Ranch and shit like that. $7,000 to $8,000 or whatever for what? Where did the $130,000 come from? I assure you that used up porn star ain't worth that. Where did it even come from? It's such a script. It's so ridiculous. I mean, so before the election, he's going to get involved with this. Remember the Billy Bush. The Billy Bush, he exposed Trump saying he grabbed some woman's, I can't say, grabbed her this or that, exposed by Billy Bush. This is the way that Not Milk does business. And to our friends and family, man, you're You're one of those people that would actually, you think there's some sort of relationship in who leaked the story, Billy Bush, and it's tied in some way with the theme of the story, and it's a giant script. You one of those people. Look, who knows why the people around us are so gone? I know I do that all the time, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world. It wasn't as frustrating 15 years ago, or even just after the big day, because I assure you, the presentation was not nearly what it is today. It has completely broken down, and we just can't. We do understand why they go along with it, why they can't see it. It gets back to the same thing: ship of fools, river of insanity. The frequency, the download is real. If you were on the frequency, it doesn't matter how ridiculous it gets. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there is a moment, like, remember Shallow Hal Wants a Gal? He calls Anthony Robbins up, gives him that story. It's like, you got to snap him out of it. Shallow Hal Wants a Gal, and all of a sudden he can see Rosemary for what she really looks. There's got to be a moment, Not Nilk, if you're listening, or ChatGPT, if you're giving the transcript of this presentation to Not Nilk, there's probably a moment where the glass will crack or something, where the people will wake up, no matter how deep they are into their download or Sleeping Beauty sleep. And it knows what the limit is. It knows exactly what it can get away with. But so that's it. Buddy that takes out the basura would know that if they were going to run for city council, whatever, and you had some little fling with some porn star, and you don't want anybody to know about it, and it could hurt your chance for city council. That guy would he would know to just wrangle up the cash, borrow some cash, and just to do it that way. There's no record. But Donald Trump, he doesn't have 130,000 cash. That would just be too hard for him to put in a suitcase. He doesn't have a safe anywhere. It's got to be on record. Wire transfer, EFT, everything's, and then falsify it. Make sure the attorney falsifies, and the attorney goes to jail for 3 years. But they're saying Trump probably won't go to jail, but for doing the exact same thing, the attorney's in jail. But again, we expect these scripts. What we don't expect is for everybody to be so damn stupid and not question it. I never really looked closely at her until today. I had no idea what she looked. She could walk right by me on the street or the brothel that I typically attend, and I wouldn't know who she is. I'm just looking at her for the first time. Matt, what do you think she's worth? What would you pay? Well, I wouldn't pay anything. How much would she have to pay you? A lot. But let's just say, if like my buddy that went around the red light, he's into that sort of thing. What is she worth? Beckley, she's been in all those porn movies. Well, I don't know. His name was Ed. He's no longer with us. He did all that stuff at the red light district. I think he should pay for Stormy no more than $20. $20. Donald Trump overspent. I can't even do the math very quickly. What's $130,000 less $20? I don't even know. I did well on my verbal SATs. The math, all I could do was just fill in one of the dots. I had no idea what that problem was in front of us. But I think there was only 4 things to fill in. So you just fill in A, and you just have a 1 in 4 chance of being right. I had a few of them I got. My math wasn't good. My verbal was better. Wasn't great though. You'd think it would be a little bit better. But standardized testing, that is not. It just didn't fit right with the way my mind works. Didn't do well in any standardized test. So, Stormy, you're lucky to be a $130,000 whore. To me, and to Ed, that's no longer with us. You a $20 whore, Stormy. Matt, she's going to get a hold of this and do slander charges. Oh, it would be the best. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Oh my gosh, I hope so. I hope so. I'm judgment proof, Stormy. Come sue me and see what happens. Almost related to what we were talking about, everything in this world, I mean, it's just so sick. And I'm watching or rewatching House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones 2, because Game of Thrones 3 is coming out soon. 10% of this community get triggered. Oh, Matt, you watch movies or you have to throw out your television like I do. Like I said many times, I'm emailed, I get links. Basically, look at Dark Reality or what Not Nilk's up to every day for approaching 15 years without a day off. I need an escape. I need a movie. That is what I do to stay sane. It helps me. I don't interact with too many real people. I have a beer or two. Okay, this is my escapism. Get over it. The triggered that threw their television out a long time. But here, this is disturbing. I don't remember hardly any of this House of the Dragon. I watched it, but it just went. It was like I'm watching it for the first time. But there's certain disturbing things, like, well, how come I don't remember being disturbed by that? Anyway, this segment should not go long. I just wanted to throw this out. Many of you haven't even seen the show, but I still want to tell you about what happened. It's so disturbing. This Rhaenyra Targaryen, the little princess girl, when it starts, I don't know, she's supposed to be, I don't know, 13, 14, or 15. Very, very young. Then by episode 4 or 5... I guess they say there's some age progression, but it's still the same actress, and they don't say so many years has gone by. She goes out. Now, this is this House of the King of their, it's the same sort of decadence with, it's not quite Caligula, but they do some weird things. They have dragons. But at 14 or 15, and they show this in an episode, she goes out with her uncle. Her uncle, which is the actor, his name's Damon. He's one of the actors that played Doctor Who, say 7, 8, or 9 years ago. He takes her to a brothel or like this sex pleasure house where everybody's just man on man over here and, man on beast over. Just all this disgusting Caligula decadence to the nth degree. And she gets turned on by it, and she has sex with her uncle, and I didn't see any age progression, so they're presenting that as a 13, 14, or 15-year-old, but nobody's saying anything. Like where's the big outcry on this? And then the moment she gets, she's never been exposed. Excuse me, she's never been exposed to any of these sort of pleasures. Being the little princess, she escapes the castle guard and they wander around the red light district of whatever the city is, where all the debauchery takes place. So as soon as she gets back from the little brothel house and the night of pleasure, she has a guard I forget his name, Sir whatever, that's bound by oath to protect her with his life. She immediately, just 5 minutes after getting back from the brothel, climbs on top of him and starts having sex with him. She becomes the point is, I didn't see, she's to start, and it's 13, 14, 15 years old at best, at most. And there's no point in the show it says 4 years later, or no, it's sick, man. And I'm thinking, well, how come I don't remember this the first time? I don't know. I have no idea. It's like watching it for the first time. And there's a lot of it, there's a lot of other disturbing things. But Matt, why are you watching it? Because there's nothing to watch that's any good. Everything is intentionally and purposefully being destroyed. For some reason, when this came out, very close to when Rings of Power came out, and compared to Rings of Power, I mean, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon is like, it's like Dances with Wolves or Goodfellas. It's incredibly great compared to absolute trash and horrible TV like Rings of Power and everything else that's out now. So unless maybe you'll comment, I'm missing something. Matt, they clearly say there's an age progression, and now she's 18. I don't think so. But I'm gonna continue to watch it because what else is there? I'll watch. I need to get filled in. I'm gonna watch the new series. What else is there to do? I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. Let's close by doing some CNN fake headlines. Americans have never seen an ex-president convicted of a crime. With an election months away, no one knows how voters will react. Sure we do. Voters will rally even stronger for Trump because this will be an injustice. It will be a way of getting back at the system. The system is made to be hated especially by conservatives. This will actually be the reason he's, quote, elected president. When the dust settles and the pundits and the analysts analyze everything after the fact of what we're saying is going to happen, we know now what's going to happen, but they make $400,000 a year to analyze it after the fact, and it'll be exactly the same thing that's being said now. They'll say, well, these charges actually helped Trump. Well, we know that now. How come nobody paying me no $400,000? Villanova's not that far down the road. I mean, it's, I'm up here closer to Exton. But it's a ways, but it's the closest major university. Matt, the czar is not here anymore. Why are you leaning over like some kind of asshole? Sorry. Okay. How come Villanova don't pay me no $400,000 to be the analyst? I'm telling you, I can tell you right now what's going to happen. Anyway, if I get it wrong, the trolls are they're gonna cut and paste that, aren't they? Look, okay, let's just do the headlines. It will be the reason he makes the presidency. Not that it's scripted, but that will be used as the reason. Live updates. Trump speaks at 11 a.m. If anybody's interested, he speaks at 11 a.m. from Trump Tower. Well, he was just convicted of 34 felony accounts in Davenport. From my understanding is after your conviction, then they put the cuffs on you and they haul you away and they take you into custody. The reality presents that this is what would happen to you or to anybody else, but this is just different over here, and nobody questions it. Whether it be a movie, a television show, or real life, when you are found guilty of felony counts, within 1 minute, you're placed in handcuffs and taken off to prison. Remember, in My Cousin Vinny, they were taken off to prison even before a conviction. So that there is no going back to Trump Tower. You're typically, okay, Matt, there is, in certain cases, you don't know what you're talking about. They get, okay, it's the sentencing, but typically, let me just ask you this. If you or I were convicted of 34 felony counts, would we be able to go home and make lunch? No, that's when you're convicted, and you go to jail that day. Go watch the beginning of Shawshank. Anyway, right-wing media figures vow revenge. Yeah, see? Revenge. That's what it's going to be. This is a real help to the election because the system is corrupt, and we're going to make our statement against the system by voting Trump. So, ChatGPT, can you get word to the not script writers that this is really an insult to our intelligence? Please make it stop. Hear what Don Jr. said after his dad was found guilty. Don Jr. Who the hell cares what Don, if you're listening, get a life. Go off to Jared Kushner's planet for a while, the Rise Up planet, and relax for a bit. What the Biden campaign thinks the Trump verdict means, we need to consult with the Biden campaign. If anything were real, Biden would say he would just say one thing, and up until the election. If anything were real, if the election were legitimate, if anything in this world was real, Biden would take to the podium today, and he would say, "There's no debate anymore. Everything is canceled. If you people are you going to put a convicted felon of 34 counts into the Oval Office?" Then he could say something like, "God have mercy on this country. I'm not debating him. There is no debate anymore. It's a convicted felon versus if anything were real, versus your sitting president. This is absurd. He shouldn't get a single vote. Okay, you might not like me, but he shouldn't get a single vote. God have mercy on this country. If you put in and that's the last I'll say of it. And I'm not actually going to campaign anymore. It's over. The election should be over. I'm going to go back and do my job as president." If that's all anybody would say. But he'll campaign and this and that, and I guess I'm just one of those people. Trump rails against Judge and Biden. What did Biden have to do with it? He didn't make you, to Stormy. What did Biden have to do with it? Did you screw Stormy to somehow get back at Biden? She his illegitimate daughter or something? Leave Biden out of it. She didn't have nothing to do with Stormy Daniels and that hoe. Opinion. Trump's utterly avoidable unforced error. I assure you it's not what we would write in this opinion section, that he should just pay that bitch cash. Just in case, let's see. If it should have paid, it says it right here, should have paid that bitch cash. Right? Look at this. No, it says Trump verdict is a Pyrrhic victory for Democrats. Yeah, because it'll assure him the election. At least that's the way it'll be perceived. Progressives hope this could be the silver bullet that will stop Trump's campaign, thinking, okay, well, this guy, who is Patrick T. Brown? Look at that picture. He seems to be saying what I was saying. Matt, you read it first. No, I didn't. That it'll be used to actually support Trump. I'm sure that's what it probably says. Anyway, all right, guys, that's everything for now. I wanted to pop in after I was very distraught when I saw the news. I cried for about 10 minutes because I really can't wait for Trump to get back in the Oval Office, and he can promise us the wall. We can have that border debate all over again. Thanks for listening.